Welcome in the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined, as always, by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Balls on Twitter. What are you up to, you big 11-win Tennessee Homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, brother. And man, do we just have, I mean, without a doubt, Shane, the greatest college football playoff semifinal games back to back. And of course, the Dogs come out on top. We'll get all into that game in a minute, but we've had 9 years, Shane. We've been waiting for a day like we got on Saturday, and it was glorious.
It was fantastic, Mike. It really was. It's like they almost knew the college football playoffs were expanding, so they had to get one more good one in. You know what I'm saying? It was both games, brother. I mean, it was a fantastic. Let me start by that. Short of Kentucky, we'll get to you here in a little bit. You know, the SEC finally got some wins under their belt here. A couple teams came to play, which looked really good. Georgia, it was just epic. It was epic. It was the TCU game even. Hell, I'm watching Michigan TCU, never, could care less. The only time I ever watched TCU was me praying that they lost to just make up, just to make the playoffs crazy. But it was an epic ball game over there, and then followed up with this one. I was absolutely glued to the TV all day long. It was what a way to end 22, brother.
Yeah, and let's start with the big one, Shane. Georgia, just epic come down. This is going to be in Bulldog lore for the rest of time.
Yeah. Comes
back, beats Ohio State 42-41 in a game that, damn near the entire game, Ohio State had it controlled. Yeah. Shane, Georgia had two 14-point comebacks. They had not trailed by 14 points the entire season. They outscored Ohio State 18-3 in the fourth quarter, dominated. Largest deficit of the entire season. When Georgia first got down by 14, Shane, here's, two possessions in a row. This is just how clutch this team is. They went 7 plays, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 3 minutes off the clock. So this is a championship caliber team, of course, championship mindset. And when game's on the line, Stetson Bennett, brother. I mean, he had large, I don't want to say struggled, but, I just didn't quite look. He was getting this guy's a Heisman finalist. That's a damn joke. Till the fourth quarter, Shane. He was 10 of 12, 190 yards, which is the most any quarterback has ever thrown in a playoff fourth quarter. 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a perfect passer rating. I mean, he was just incredible. A.D. Mitchell, game-winning touchdown. He's got 2 game-winning college football playoff touchdowns. He was the one that scored against Alabama last year. Ryan Day was 41-0 when leading after the third quarter. Shane, he's 41-1 now.
I'll tell you what, change his name from Mailman to Clutch Man, because he came through, brother. I ain't gonna lie, Mike. I'm sitting there and I'm watching this damn game and I'm like, what is it? Is Ohio State better than I think they are? Is Georgia worse than I thought they were? I just kept having this internal battle the entire time. I'll say this, brother. Ohio State, if you got any listeners on here, probably not. Maybe there's 2 of you out there. Fantastic. I got to say, they came into play, brother. Yeah. They were dialed in. Marvin Harrison Jr., I cannot wait to put him on my fantasy football team. How the hell did we let him go north? You know what I'm saying? This Ohio State team, I mean, brother, they played. They balled out, and they gave Georgia a run for their money. And I know there was a few mistakes here. Stetson made a couple mistakes. There was just it wasn't a clean game for Georgia Bulldogs. But when it came down to crunch time, when it came down to okay, we have got to win. You know what I'm saying? Our back's against the wall. We cannot afford to make any more mistakes. Georgia did not make any more mistakes. I was a little leery toward the end when CJ got down there close to when he got in the field goal range. But back to back, Georgia defense shut them down and made it a long field goal opportunity and ended the thing. It was wonderful. That's the Georgia defense that I expected to see this entire game locked down. It was a fantastic performance.
Yeah, the defense didn't make a ton of plays, but they made the plays when they had to do it. And, yeah, like you said, Shane, shout out to Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud. 22 of 34, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And, it's easy to sit back and say, well, my God, Georgia's defense, particularly their secondary, a lot of issues there. But I think this was more of a case of just elite offensive play, quarterback making the plays, the receivers you gave credit to. Marvin Harrison Jr., I guess it is, when he got banged up, Ohio State wasn't quite the same. But to me, it was just elite offensive execution, and there's no defense for some of these plays that were out here being made. You know what?
No, and that's the thing. You could sit back. I was sitting back and saying, well, why the hell aren't we, double, triple team Marvin, know? But if you slow it down in a matter of inches, you'll see a tackle made and 4 Georgia defenders right around them. They were game planned. They were scripted, and they knew where they were going to send the ball. But credit to CJ and company, man. They were dialed in, man. They did not lose this game because of their offense, that's for sure. But the couple mistakes, you gave that long touchdown throw there in the fourth quarter, and I think that was the momentum. It was like a game of momentum swings, and it's just, I wish we could watch 10 more minutes of it, because I got a little bit of a trouble, Mike, because the family obviously wants to watch the ball drop, you know what I'm saying? And it's, this field goal is being kicked at midnight. And it's like, I can't just pause. I can't just go to the other room, you know what I'm saying? And so I got a little bit of trouble there. And so I'm going to blame Ohio State for that one. But it was worth the wait, man. I was telling you, Mike, I've seen that ball drop 40 times, but I ain't ever seen Georgia, try to hold on to a college football playoffs by a field goal here. So,
and one thing we haven't mentioned, Shane, got to shout out Kirby and his coaching staff. This going to be the timeout that's remembered in Athens for all time.
Oh, buddy.
If you didn't catch it, I'm sure, hell, everybody caught it. It was during the game, 9 minutes left. Ohio State's up 38-27. They run a fake punt. Georgia was not ready for it. It was an easy first down, but the coaches in the booth spotted it. Kirby called the timeout just before the snap. Otherwise, Ohio State continues with the ball with a double-digit lead late in the ball game. And considering the way this game went down, Shane, that was probably the timeout that won Georgia the ball game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't believe it when they replayed it and stuff. Somebody up in the booth, this wasn't Kirby. This was somebody upstairs noticed something.
Yeah.
When they slowed it down, you could kind of see it was a little bit offset to the left there, and easily a first down. It was a first down, and thank God they were able to get that timeout in, because if not, we'd be singing a different tune today, Brian.
Yeah, and I spoke with a Georgia fan today, Shane. They said, Kirby's statue, when he gets one outside of Athens, it's going to be the first statue ever of a coach calling a timeout. I thought that was pretty good.
Hey, I want to ask you, Mike, serious question here. After this game, when the dust settled and you're starting to rethink and you're watching the highlights again, what do we do from here? Is this a wake-up call that Georgia needed? I don't think they came into this thing just thinking they're going to steamroll, but I don't know. It felt a little Missouri-ish. You know what I'm saying? It felt a little like underprepared. And did you feel that, or is this just situational, Ohio State playing the best game of their lives?
Well, it's interesting, Shane, because obviously, we made our predictions. We thought Georgia would dominate this football game. I got a phone call about an hour before this, not this game, but the first playoff game, TCU Michigan. talked to our buddy Dave Barr too, and he delivered all this data to me. We were just talking about the college football season, and he said, man, Ohio State's going to win this game. He really thought, based on his data, and he said it's a complete toss-up, which, in fairness, that's exactly what it was. Ohio State winning the entire game. It was a complete toss-up. So he was dead on, and I'm going to do a whole couple of weeks with all this data that he's given me, Shane, but just kind of the abbreviated version of it. Georgia and Ohio State, by the metrics that matter, offensive and defensive scoring efficiency, both of them elite this year. The difference, Georgia, based on who they played and when they played them, that's the critical part. When they played them, not even close to what Ohio State faced. Ohio State faced a much more difficult path to become elite. So based just on his model, he thought Ohio State was going to win this game. And, obviously Georgia won it, so he was wrong in that aspect. But most people like you and I thought Georgia would roll in this football game. His data said Ohio State was going to win it, which they nearly did, which I think I say all that to say this, Shane, they passed the toughest test. And I don't think we should have been as surprised that Ohio State made it a ball game. So, no, to go back to your original question, I'm not too concerned about TCU because people that knew what they were talking about thought this was going to be a toss-up game, and it was.
This is why you don't trust computers, Mike. They want to put that shit in your head. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I'm messing with you. It is kind of funny how Vegas and these computers and all this data and stuff that they come out and you're just like, there's no way that that's even possible, or this is going to be, because I was convinced, Mike, that this was going to be an absolute bloodbath. I thought this was going to be just like, I'm glad we got Ohio State. And about 15 minutes into this thing, I'm like, golly, what is going on? Maybe they were on to something, because you look at those Vegas spreads and you're like, what are they doing? But this was, again, it was just one you're going to talk about. This is one of those games, I think, because we've seen some of these in SEC history, that we may get to a championship game, but when we think about Georgia winning a national championship, and again, I don't want to get the cart in front of the horse, but I think you're going to think of this game, not the TCU. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like 10 years from now, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. They did play TCU. Oh man, that's the year we almost lost to Ohio State though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and speaking of that, so a week from now, Shane, December 9th, that's going to be the national championship number 3.
Wait, January 9th. You said December.
Oh, January 9th. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. January 9th, a week from today, number 3 TCU, number 1 Georgia, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ESPN. Have you seen the point spread, Shane?
No. Well, you told me 17, so I don't know if that's true or not.
No, I was wrong. But
okay.
It's not far from. What do you think the spread is?
I say 2 scores, 14.
Yeah, 13.5 right now. So
okay.
Georgia, huge favorite. It's in the SoFi Stadium where the Rams and the Chargers play. It's a glorious building. I hope each and every dog that wants to go out there gets an opportunity. It's a marvel of a building out there. So hey, we got another week of SEC football, and for that, if nothing else, I'm thankful this New Year's. You know what?
Absolutely. I wish they'd just have it in Atlanta again, so that way we can get home sooner. And
Kirby, can you kind of walk us through what you saw to call that timeout on that fake punt? Kind of walk us through that moment.
Yeah, they just were not in their traditional formation. So a lot of teams carry that speed break. They come up the line quick. Everybody's lined up tight. We've seen it, in the SEC. A lot of teams carry it, and you try to practice it, but it's another thing when they actually do it and execute it, So it was one of those gut reactions that I didn't think that we had it lined up properly to stop it, and so called timeout.
I guess that's in for everybody. You said you wanted the ball in your hands, obviously, to win the game, but there was still time left, so you couldn't control that last play. What was it like just watching, and it seemed like forever by the time the ball was snapped and eventually kicked?
Yeah, trust them. Then it's up, we talked about, we had a little powwow there on the sideline in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't going good. They're beating us. We had sucked on offense, and it was just, hey, play by play, do your job. It doesn't matter what happens on the other side of the ball or another position. Do your job. And so we had done our job, and then we trusted the defense. And then at that point, it was up to I guess the kicker.
Chip.
Kirby, football's crazy. Sometimes you win games you shouldn't, and you lose games you shouldn't as well. Where did this one fall for you? I mean, just in terms of you look up there at the end, your expression was priceless.
I mean, really, I know you don't believe it. My heart goes out to those guys because they played well enough to win, and that's not my concern. My concern is the men in our locker room, and we played well enough to win too, just well enough to win, and we played really hard in the fourth quarter. I just, I would have liked to seen a little cleaner game, and you got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, they disrupted a lot of that, and we didn't have a lot of turnovers. We didn't have self-inflicted wounds, and they didn't either. I mean, both teams played really well, and both defenses rose up and made stops. It was a very competitive, balanced game, and there weren't a lot of big plays in the kicking game like you might expect, but really just proud for our guys.
So how long do you give yourself to enjoy this before turning the page and focusing on the next one?
No, we got to start tomorrow. I mean, we got a short window, so can't start when we get back home. We got to sleep, but we'll get started tomorrow and get jumped back on. Luckily, we caught the late game, but we caught the late game an hour from home. So I remember sitting at this point, 20 whatever it was, 18, 17. I don't even know what year it was, but we had a long flight, and we had a short week. We had a 7-day week with a flight from Pasadena. So, we got a little more time. I think it's important to get healed. Our players have had a long season and a long week of practice this week. I want them to get away, remember what they're fighting for, and come back ready, rejuvenated, ready to go, because this is what you do it for.
Well, speaking of winning big, Shane, this game, I don't want to say lost some luster, but just because of the epic games we had on Saturday. But we sure as hell have not forgotten, Shane. Tennessee wins the Orange Bowl 31-14. National Orange champions, in my opinion, Shane. Just demolished Clemson Tigers down there in Miami. Oh, we had to hear about Cade Kubalik, whatever the hell his name is. He hadn't lost a start, Shane, since 6th grade. Well, he's 0-1 now as a college starting quarterback, thanks to Tennessee's Tim Banks' defense. And I thought that was the story of the game, Shane. We were all focused on Joe Milton, which, we'll get to him. He had a hell of a game. They don't win the game without his performance. But 2 red zone turnovers were huge. 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, allowed just 7 of 9 third downs, and 0 for 3 on 4th downs. Aaron Beasley,
come on now,
could have just as easily been named MVP.
Where's that guy been all year?
Well, he's emerged when it counts, Shane. So let's not bash him. Let's credit him.
No, I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying if he played like this all year, I mean, dude, we're talking defensive MVP here. So it's a great game. Sorry, I'm just getting excited.
And maybe the most important stat of all, Shane, I know you'll love this one. Will Shipley, oh my God, the world's greatest running back, held him to 72 yards. I thought he had 700 the way they were talking about it. But to me, Shane, the story of the game, Tennessee's defense making the plays, made Clemson look like a damn clown factory on offense. And again, if I'm Tennessee, this is what you need to continue to grow this program. First 11-win season since 2001. Shane, and they did it without Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, Jeremy Banks, Trevon Flowers, all key starters. Just an incredible performance. Tennessee, 18-8 now under Heupel, Shane, and they've won 13 of 16 under the man up there. How about this? Clemson, 1-4 in their last 5 against SEC teams. they're 30-4 against everybody else. Get the hell out of here with this Clemson hype. You know what?
That's right. Bible study's going to be rough tonight, man. You know what I'm saying? Dabo came out here expecting to win. Clemson came expecting to win. I think they ran out of material, Mike. I mean, clearly, listening to this game, oh, my God, like you said, it was Shipley. This unbelievable. I can't believe he's averaging 4 yards a carry. And the whole time, Jalen Wright's got like 20 yards on him. I just – where's their parent cams? You know what I'm saying? Where was Tennessee? Did none of the parents show up for them? I think, by the way, Mike, if they're going to get rid of anything next year, it better be those damn cameras. The parents had a shot. You know what I'm saying? They had a shot to make something of themselves and be successful in college. They had their air time. This is the kids' time. There's no reason that we should keep going back to the parents. It drives me absolutely nuts. But what didn't drive me nuts, brother, is my man Joe Milton. Everybody tell me, oh, man, he's got a hell of an arm, you know, but he's going to overthrow everybody. No, not today, brother. Joe Milton came out here and put a lot of naysayers in their place. I think he had a fantastic ball game. It was kind of interesting when he finally started getting a little running involved too, you know. I mean, he's not as mobile as Hooker, but I really love seeing him getting out of that pocket, kind of becoming a dual threat there. It was fun, man. Watching Clemson lose, there's not a soul on this podcast that doesn't agree with me. Dabo losing is good for college football. So this was, I'm proud of the Volunteers. Like you said, they were shorthanded. There's a lot of people that opt out. A lot of people didn't give them a shot here, but not you and me, Mike. We were all Vol, and I think it paid off here at the end.
Yeah, and to your point, Shane, I think the game plan for Clemson was clear. Make Joe Milton beat us. He can't beat us. Stifle this running attack, and they did a fairly good job. I know, Tennessee had some. Like you mentioned, Jalen Wright had a solid game, but they were going to make Joe Milton and this reworked receiving corps, so to speak, beat him. And Squirrel White stepped up in position with Jalen Hyatt out. 9 catches, 108 yards, a touchdown. Joe Milton had the 3 big touchdowns, some incredible touch and arm strength on some of these passes. I mean, if his receivers are catch it, I mean, someone in the stands was going to get a concussion. You know what I mean? He was firing these missiles in there. But I think the biggest aspect of the game for Joe Milton, no big mistakes that could have cost you the game. Not sitting here saying that he's mistake prone, but that was what it was going to take for Clemson to win this game, is forcing turnovers. They just couldn't do it. Romel Keaton had a huge touchdown in this game. Brew McCoy, God, he's a tank out there. And he had him a day. And, again, I mean, this is, like Heupel says after the game, man, this is just the beginning of a scary future for the rest of college football.
Absolutely, brother. But I want to give credit to this defense. You know, this defense has been chat on since South Carolina. Right. And these guys, even them, shorthanded, came out here and put pressure on. I mean, they were in Cade. Cade is still having nightmares about this. You know what I'm saying? He's seeing all kinds of wrong color orange running around him. And I absolutely love it, because that was the focus, putting pressure on the young quarterback, you know, loading that box, giving a little bit. This was a bend, not break thing, you know? Yeah. And it felt like the defense, I mean, they were on the field a lot of the game here, but when it got down to the red zone, you know, they were dialed in, man, and they forced this kicker to miss a lot of field goals. I mean, when he's having field goal opportunities, I mean, Clemson really had opportunities to put points on the board, and this defense did just enough to keep them out of there.
Coach, what do you say to people who insist still that bowl games don't matter? And what was the significance of the win tonight?
Man, bowl games matter. You watch them every single day. You can see the energy, effort, and strain, the excitement, the disappointment on the other side. They matter. And it doesn't mean that everybody has everybody for the ball game. That's just the nature of where we're at during the course of bowl season. But it matters for everybody that shows up. It matters to the head coaches, the assistants. It matters to the fans. It matters to the players. These guys are prideful. Clemson's prideful. When you line up and compete, man, you're going to compete with everything that you got. And these are rare opportunities. I just, 21 years ago, whatever it was, I got an opportunity to play here inside of this stadium. And the memories that I have from that. I don't talk about my playing days a lot with these guys. I'm old enough that some of them weren't even alive, but I think they bought into that these moments matter, and it's something that they will remember for the rest of their lives. Yeah, it continues to put our brand, the style of football, and it's a legacy moment for the guys that are here that are graduating, but it's a springboard for us moving forward. Again, our brand is out in front of everybody. I think we've beaten 3 out of the last 4 national champions during the course of this season. 11-win season, which hasn't been done since 2001. There's so many positive things, so much momentum inside of our program that the entire country, our players, our fan base, recruits, can see the trajectory of where Tennessee is and where it's going. And tonight's a big night.
Joe was sort of filling in for Hendon, Squirrel for Jalen. To some extent, Aaron was making plays maybe that Jeremy would make during the year. You have 3 guys here that all step forward. What's the philosophy that you have where you can plug and play and still stay at this elite level?
Next man up. You can phrase it however you want to. That's not coach speak. We talk about it. We live it every day. We talk about competing the right way and preparing for your opportunity. You don't know when it's coming. You got young guys that continue to get better. I think the fact that our guys love being in the building, they love learning and growing, they enjoy who they're doing it with, allows us to continue to take strides individually and then collectively as a football team. And man, like where we started and where we are now in that way is so different. And we got good young players. We're losing some really good veteran guys, obviously, but the future is freaky bright for Tennessee football.
And I put one of the sports in. Well, can you talk about why your defense was so effective tonight and what some of the game plan was that you executed?
Man, obviously there was a ton of pressure, multiple in our fronts. Thought we did a good job against the run game. End of the first half, got a little bit tired. They hit some on us, a little bit in the third quarter. But multiple coverages on the back end, and we played better gap integrity. We tackled better in space, and we were better in our coverage. Not perfect. Obviously, the PIs were disappointing on our part, but continued to fight and compete. And great red zone defense, situational football tonight. You got to get points when you're in the red zone. You need to get 7s, and defensively, we found a way to tighten up when they are on the plus side of the 50 and holding the field goals. They didn't make many of their attempts, and find a way to get off the field. Created turnovers, too.
Speaking of winning big, Shane, that's exactly what happened in the Sugar Bowl. Alabama beat Kansas State 45-20. This was the Bryce Young show, Shane, in what we presume to be his last game in an Alabama uniform. 15 of 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. The receivers started to emerge. I think he had 5 different touchdowns to 5 different receivers in this ball game. And man, once Kansas State, let's give it to them, Shane. They came out strong, tried to set the tone, but Alabama's defense stood tall right before halftime. Goal line stand, a minute left on the clock. Alabama goes the length of the field in 51 seconds, scores a touchdown. The score was 14-10 at that point, Shane, and within 3 minutes, kicking over to the second half, it was 35-10. Just a damn avalanche of points for Alabama, and that it was over from that point on. It's just fantastic to see Bryce Young, Will Anderson on the field, making the decision that so many players don't make in modern college football, and they get rewarded. Alabama just destroyed Kansas State exactly like we thought they would.
I tell you what, Georgia's so happy they won. They're also happy Alabama's not in there with them because the way they're playing right now, man, they went out there to make a statement. That's exactly what they did. The score doesn't do this one justice. That Alabama defense was the defense we grew up to, Mike, a blanket. That's what they were. They were a blanket on Kansas State. They just held him in check. And I know Vaughn's stat line looks a little deceiving because he did have that long 88-yard run.
Right.
But if you take that out, I mean, the kid's averaging 2 yards a carry. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to stop the run, force Howard to throw the ball, and he did. 2 times to the wrong jersey, buddy. Alabama destroyed Kansas State. Exactly what we thought would happen here. It was a statement game, and it was a good kickoff, I think, for next year. There's a lot of people obviously upset. This is the last time we're going to get to see probably Bryce Young. I mean, that's not official yet, is it?
No.
But I would imagine sooner than later we're going to hear Bryce is going on to the NFL.
Right.
So we'll be ready for the next chapter, but looking back, Mike, I mean, we've got a 2-loss Alabama team, and a lot of people, got the little asterisks and the stars by them and reminding us that it came down to 2 final possessions. Is Alabama the 5th-ranked team in the country, in your opinion?
I guess so with, we don't live in fantasy land here, but if Hendon...
we do today, Mike.
I would say if Hendon Hooker was healthy, I'd give that edge to Tennessee.
Okay.
That's fair, don't you think?
I think it's very fair. Yeah, I would say Alabama is 3, Tennessee 2, and I got to put Ohio State up there somewhere because, boy, I would not want to face that team. Now, Georgia doesn't want to play them again right now, so I'll give them a little credit there. But that would be my top 4 there. Is that no particular order? Georgia first, of course.
Right. So you went there, and I think this is where a lot of SEC college football fans are, they're probably agreeing with you, Shane. Even though we had 2 epic playoff games, you're still in the mindset that Alabama, short of maybe Georgia, they could beat anybody, and maybe they deserved a shot to prove that.
Yeah, and I think why this was such an epic college football playoff was the fact Alabama wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Because if Alabama and Michigan played, this game would have been over at half, similar to this Kansas State situation. I'm just being honest with you. I do think that the Alabama-Georgia game would be epic, and I hate that we're not going to get to see it, just for selfish reasons. But I truly think, now Tennessee, again, fantasy land with a healthy Hendon Hooker, we're talking maybe a different situation. But Tennessee, Milton, you could tell there was a little bit different dynamics in this Vol game, even though we did beat Clemson. But I don't want to cast shade on what the Vols did, because this has been a fantastic year. I tweeted out, Mike, if you would have told me at the start of the season that we'd have 2 losses, we'd beat Alabama, we'd beat Clemson, and we'd end this season a top 5 team in the country, I would have called you nuts. You would have been called crazy. You truly would have. But that's what we got here, and I'm tickled pink with how we ended. But I do think the college football playoff missed it a little bit here, because I think there's 2 better teams that could face right now.
Right. Yeah, and to your point, Shane, we both had Tennessee number 3 in the East in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
They may be the 3rd best team in the country.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? This is such a great year. One of the things, I don't remember who said it. You can Google it, but they were talking about TCU not making a bowl game, and now they're in the college football championship. 20. If football feels different these days, it's not the same old. 'Cause you can't just pencil in a Georgia. You can't just pencil in an Alabama in here anymore, because teams can flip overnight. And we see it with LSU. We see it with some other programs that are in the SEC. And they can flip the opposite way. We're going to talk about Kentucky next here. This is a team that was on the up and coming, and then all of a sudden a switch, a bad coordinator, a bad offensive line, and then next thing you know, you're not as good as you thought you would. But that could be reversed in one off season. So I just think college football, with the portal and the way everything's going right now, it's kind of fun, man. It's fun. It's exciting, because you can't just, like I said, guarantee what the college football playoffs will look like next year.
Right, and you hit on it. It's portal, it's NIL, but it's one other thing, and I think they need to make this adjustment, Shane, to bring kind of balance to college football that we have seen in recent years. I think we need to give across the board an extra year of eligibility if players want that. Because that's how you get teams like Arkansas and TCU and Ole Miss from a year ago and Tennessee. These guys, they're much older. Yet at Alabama and Georgia, for the most part, players, they're not there for 5 years. They're 3 years to the NFL. You got a lineup full of seniors, guys that have played 2, 3, 4 years in the SEC, going up against freshmen and sophomores and true juniors at Alabama and Georgia. It equals that playing field. So, hey, I don't know if Alabama and Georgia want that, but I think the rest of the college football certainly does.
That's a good point, Mike. That's a good point.
Central.com. You got your offense combined for 26 yards in its first 2 drives. Then Deuce Vaughn has that 88-yard touchdown. Then you guys score 5 in a row. What switch flipped for you guys that allowed you to have such offensive success?
Well, I think that they play a little different defense, and I think when we got into a little rhythm about how they were playing us, we were able to take advantage of it. And I think Bryce did a really good job. We had some package plays, and he got us in the right plays, which helped us run the ball a little more effectively than we did in the beginning of the game. And then we made a lot of explosive plays. I mean, we attacked them down the field, made some good throws, and guys made really good catches. So I think those explosive plays were huge in the game. The turnovers and explosive plays were huge in the game.
Well, I think that just speaks to the confidence that Coach gave us, trusting us as an offense to move the ball. Obviously, there's things that can go wrong down there. You don't want to give the ball back. You obviously don't want to turn the ball over because that's points. But Coach trusted us in those moments. We practice 2 minute all the time. He had confidence in us, and again, we play for each other. And as far as the stadium goes, all I heard was a bunch of Alabama fans cheering us on, rooting us on. It got really loud in there, especially third down with them having the ball. And this obviously is off site for us, but for us to travel as well as we did, with all that support, the crowd and the support we get, that means a lot to us. So we have the best supporters, the best fans in the country, and it showed again today.
Ted,
Right over here on the right side.
You know I've loved you for years, right? It's been a long time. But they had 3 timeouts. We had to make a first down. We made a first down and got out to the 20-yard line. When we get that kind of field position with a minute to go in the half, we're going to go 2 minutes. But they were going to call 3 timeouts and make us punt. So we had to run the ball. We had to go. We couldn't kneel on the ball. And we got lots of confidence and trust in our players. And that was a huge swing in the game for us to stop them on 4th down and then go 98 yards in less than a minute and score a touchdown. But we do practice it.
Tony Reese, WCVM out of Columbus, Georgia. Coach Saban, if there was one takeaway or one statement you want people to resonate from this game, you might have already said it, but what would that be today?
I'm sorry, I couldn't
I'm
hear
sorry.
you.
If there was one statement or testament from today's, if there was one takeaway from today, what would that be that you want folks to know about you and your team and those guys sitting beside you?
Your circumstances don't make you. They reveal the kind of character that you have. And I think this team revealed tremendous character, competitive character, in the way they prepared for this game and the way they played in this game. So you could say the circumstances, and we've had teams in this circumstance before. We didn't get in the playoffs. We came and played in the Sugar Bowl, and we didn't play very well. And we didn't practice very well, and we didn't prepare very well. But this team did. And, they went out there like a team, played together as a team, and they were rewarded for it because of what they put into it.
All right, Shane. Well, unfortunately, we got some bad news here at the SEC. So let's start with, the Gator Bowl. Notre Dame pulls one out of their damn lucky Irish hat, whatever you want to call it, 45-38 over South Carolina. And, I was feeling great about this one, Shane. I don't know about you. Early in the ball game, 21 points scored by the Gamecocks. Spencer Rattler was wheeling and dealing. We had another Kai Kroger Beamer ball touchdown. When those things happen, you feel like you're going to win the ball game. Mm-hmm. Probably the most damning stat of this whole game, though, Shane. 3 defensive or special teams touchdown for the Gamecocks. They had 2 pick sixes they scored on, and, of course, the Kai Kroger fake field goal touchdown. yet they didn't get the win. Just kind of ran out of gas, man. I think I don't know about you, but I certainly underestimated, some of the losses they had. They were down to one tight end, Nate Atkins, who he was looking incredible. I was ready to tweet out, man, this guy's an upgrade over Jaheim Bell. I don't care. And then he goes down, and maybe I should still send that out there because he was just playing lights out. But I think there was one point late in the game, Sherrod Green, outstanding linebacker. I mean, he's like dizzy out there. It looked like they needed to take him out of the game, but I don't know if they had anyone else to replace him with. So that they were leaving these guys out there. I think they just ran out of gas, and Notre Dame more or less dominated the fourth quarter outside of some miscues that kept South Carolina in it. But man, it would have been great to get this win for Beamer and company. Doesn't hurt the future at all, but this would have been a nice feather in their cap, so to speak.
It would, and I will say the biggest highlight for me for South Carolina was whoever ordered that damn plane down there at the Orange Bowl. Did you see that? Oh, Mike, I will tell you, and it's funny because let me tell the listeners. So that somebody had ordered a plane to pull one of those banners. You've seen them when you're at them events, and behind it says to Clemson and Tennessee, enjoy your bowl game, Gamecocks. Because two teams not playing in the college football playoffs because of South Carolina. That was and the funny thing was the comments said, this is exactly what a Tennessee fan would do. And I was like, yeah, they're on to something there. But, brother, I'm with you here. This one felt good for so long till it didn't. And I think, honestly, the problem, man, is just the running game or lack thereof. You look at how South Carolina defense was playing, which was lights out. I mean, getting 3 interceptions from Notre Dame, that is not an easy feat. But you can only stay on the field so long before you get exhausted. And I felt like that's kind of what we had, was a little bit of that depth, kind of came out toward the tail end of this thing. So, Notre Dame got the win, but I truly believe South Carolina missed an opportunity here. We just couldn't get the running game going.
But at the end of the day, this doesn't hurt Shane Beamer's program, right? Yeah, I mean, you don't think that, do you?
No. This is situational, man. I mean, when you look at it, the way they played, especially on their drive charts toward the end of the game, it was 3 plays and a punt, 3 plays and a punt, 3 plays and a punt, 3 plays and a punt. Your defense is going to give up at some point if you cannot sustain a drive. And unfortunately, South Carolina, what was working in the first half, I think the bad thing was this adjustments. It felt like there wasn't enough adjustments during this thing, so I guess you can blame a little bit to the coaching here. But all in all, I mean, the defense did the best they could. I truly do it. You look at it, 45 points, and you're like, oh, Shane, what are you talking about? I'm telling you, man, they did just enough to keep South Carolina in it. And South Carolina's offense just could not keep it away from Notre Dame. So that was the big thing. And I'm not casting shade or anything like that. This is a bowl game. I don't know. I felt like South Carolina had more to play for than Notre Dame in this one.
Yeah.
The momentum with the NIL, the momentum with the recruiting, it felt like, the way they ended the season, South Carolina is in a good spot. It wouldn't be bad to have a bowl win here. I think that would have been really big for Beamer especially. But, that's okay. I mean, you got to learn, and I think they will. I guarantee you this, Mike, if these guys would have played between Tennessee and Clemson, there's no way that this is a ball game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It felt situational. South Carolina is just kind of their depth is just. I mean, it got exposed.
Well, let me ask you this, Shane. Do you think silver lining, perhaps, Spencer Rattler? I mean, he threw one of the most incredible touchdowns I've seen all season. Xavier Legette, let's give him a shout out for incredible toe touch here. Legette had 2 touchdowns, 7 catches, 78 yards. But Spencer Rattler, I mean, at times brilliant. At other times, inconsistent. They've hired Dow Loggins to be the offensive coordinator. Comes with an NFL background. If you're Spencer Rattler, You know, I know South Carolina fans desperately want him back. Tennessee fans desperately want him gone. You know, we're not the fan perspective, but Spencer Rattler, should he come back? I mean, we got Bryce Young, we got C.J. Stroud, we got Will Levis, God's gift of quarterbacks here. There's a lot of good prospects. Spencer Rattler, should he return to improve his stock, or because I feel like NFL's going to view him, Shane? There's some people going to watch him and be like, my God, he's just got all this talent in the world. But other people probably going to watch him and say, well, why did he struggle against Florida? Florida's terrible. Why did he fall apart in the second half for Notre Dame? You know, I mean, there's inconsistencies there. So maybe I don't want to even call this a poor showing because, hell, they nearly won the game. But a disappointing, bad taste in your mouth, maybe that gets you to where Juice Wells, standout receiver, and Spencer Rattler return. Do you think there's a chance that happens?
I think there's a chance, but, you know, he was very cryptic after this game.
Yeah.
Talking about going back, talking to the right people. I think it's going to boil down to what the experts say. If they can see him drafted on the first day, I think he's gone. And, you know, the problem is when you get in somebody's ear like that, you can, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that are good at guessing, but they don't really know. And I mean, if he does go to the combine and has a terrible performance, then it's too late, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like you really got one more shot at this thing. But I don't know. Outside looking in, I think he's gone. But if I'm like his dad or you know, a significant member of his group, I would convince him to come back because I really do think one more year in South Carolina would do wonders for him. Not just in development, but just gain, I guess maybe just development. You know what I'm saying? Just being around some, like you said, some of those advanced minds and a full off season. And now that he's got his confidence going and, you know, the community loves him, they can recruit around him, get some NIL activity, get some somebody out of the portal. I mean, the portal's still wide open, brother, you know, so get a couple pieces for him and then just make another great run and increase his stock. Because I think when you're looking like an NFL team, you're looking at what they've done, what they could do. And I just think what they've done has too many question marks for a franchise to really take a shot at him.
Yeah. And he's got a new Mercedes-Benz NIL deal. So, I mean, hell, you don't got to worry about
making money.
Around,
yeah.
You know?
Absolutely, man. So, obviously, Tennessee fan, I'm ready for him to go. I think he should. I think if he's listening, I think you're going to do well, man. You should go do it.
Shane, after Xavier's second touchdown, the offense seemed to kind of bog. I think 4 drives with minus 14 yards. Just, did they throw something different at you? Was it just guys not executing? What happened, though?
Yeah, just kind of they didn't do anything different. We just didn't perform as well as we needed to. Had an opportunity there after the interception that Nick Barrett got, plus territory. I think we're up 1 score at that point. I mean, we got to punch that in for 7 at that point. And no, I mean, they did. They give them credit. I mean, they got a good football team. They kind of did what they do, and you know, we got beat out there on the perimeter a couple times on some perimeter plays and just didn't execute as well as we needed to as well.
Shane, what can you say about the overall progress this season, what it means for your program, and can you say a little bit about Kai Kroger today and overall this season?
I would hope the progress that we've made is extremely evident with what we've done to this point. You know, everybody, that's why we put so much into this season, Gene. That's why everybody, that locker room's hurting like they are right now. But to be a team that was 1-2 and then to win 7 out of 9 games, to beat Kentucky for the first time up there and forever, to beat Texas A&M for literally the first time ever, to beat back-to-back top 10 teams in back-to-back weeks as an unranked opponent, which was the 7th time that's only happened in the history of college football, to come down here and play our asses off, excuse my language. My daughter back there is going to be extremely mad at me, but to play our rear ends off today like we did, and to just, I mean, we had guys at halftime, Gene, that, I mean, just the things they had to do at halftime to be able to go back out there and play in the second half. I would hope that it's very evident the progress that we've made. And Eric Douglas said it to you guys in that press conference yesterday that we've laid a great foundation, but this program's just getting started. And he's exactly right. We're not happy about the outcome today, but to be sitting here and playing in a bowl game like this with a chance to win a ninth game when 2 years ago when we took over with this program, certainly we were a long way from having a chance to win 9 games in Jacksonville in the Gator Bowl. And then
well, I'll tell you who didn't do well, Shane, and that's Kentucky in the Music City Bowl. I mean, if you missed this game, you did yourself a favor. Even a diehard Kentucky fans, I don't know how you stomach this one, but you lose 21-0 to Iowa. You started Destin Wade at quarterback. He threw for 98 yards, Shane. 0 touchdowns, 2 pick sixes. The one killed you, but nearly, the second one just destroyed any chance you had in this ball game because Iowa was pathetic on offense. 206 yards Iowa had in the ball game, but that was actually better than Kentucky, who had 185. So, I mean, this was just awful, awful football. Third downs, Shane. Iowa 0 for 11. Kentucky 2 of 18 on third down. So, I mean, I don't know why, but I subjected myself to a reviewing this morning, Shane, of this matchup. And, it was summed up by, basically the pick sixes, like I said, a couple of handoffs and just some ugly, ugly, ugly offensive football. This is one Kentucky, they'll never want to revisit. You know what?
No. This one was brutal, brother. I mean, Destin Wade was the best offensive player for Iowa. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand what they got going on there. Are they cloning tight ends? I swear, every receiver looks like Tim Dwight. They never change, and it works. But golly, it was a rough one to watch, and I feel so bad for this Kentucky defense because, brother, they were balling at times. Yeah. I mean, look at that you were talking about. The third downs, they were bringing them off the field because Kentucky was, short of 7 points. That's all they gave up in this game. And I hate that because there was just nothing on the offensive side of the ball. Absolutely nothing.
But the good news is, Shane, that we got a coordinator coming in. We got a quarterback. We got a running back. The future – This game's got nothing to do with next season.
No.
If you didn't make the short trip down to Nashville, I don't blame you. Other than if you did, maybe you stayed out at the honky tonks and said to hell with the game. And you were certainly better off if you did. You know what?
Mike, this was like going to a JV game. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're there for moral support, but you're also there for the nachos. You know, you're enjoying the family and the friends and the community, but half this roster will not be starting next year. So I think you're in good shape there.
Okay. Obviously very disappointed in this defeat. You want to start by recognizing and congratulating Iowa. They played a very good game. Both of us were down some players and a bit shorthanded, and they did what they had to do to win the football game. Starting with right at the onset, I think just getting us in bad field position. They played very good defense. We know that going into it, that they're a very good defensive team. They played better than us in special teams in certain areas early and put us behind the 8 ball. Defensively, I thought we played really good for the majority of the game, but by being backed up early, it helped them, have a short drive and set up their one offensive touchdown. And really, we were playing a bit of catch up from that point on. Very proud of these guys. Very proud of Destin and Trevin. As I told the players in there, we have a great group in there. We were a bit shorthanded today, but it is what it is. So were they. We came in here to compete to win, but I also wanted to let Destin play. I wanted to see the future and what it looks like, and give him an opportunity to just go out there and play ball and play it with the confines of our offense and our system and down the coordinator. And he was put in a tough situation, so he will learn from it without a doubt. and we look forward to that and his growth.
Coach, you said you wanted to see Destin play. What did you see?
I saw a young man that has a bright future, and Destin was put in a tough situation today. So there'll be a lot of armchair quarterbacks that sit back and want to critique this guy. But I tell you right now, let him go back there and play against that defense and see how easy that is. It's a tough road to hoe. So believe me, we know that going into it. It's a tough spot, but he manned up and did some good things. We needed to play very well around them. We talked about it all week, that it's not just on the quarterback or any one player. We need to do some good things around them. And I think in there's certain areas where we fell short. And it's not a time to point fingers. We all accept it. But we know we're going to grow from this, and I know he will grow from this.
Mark, there was probably a time when bowl games were different. You probably wouldn't put a freshman in a bowl game in that situation. I don't know. But how much different is it coaching up to bowl games, not just for you but for everybody, given the way college football is now? Your team changes drastically from the end of the season to this game.
Very different. Very, very different. I don't know what else to say. We compete to win the game. We came up short. None of us are happy with that. These guys work and prepare to win. But is this exactly a great situation to throw him into? Here's a bowl game against a top 10 defense, and because of the way this is, I don't know if that's right either, but I don't have all the answers. I know we tried our best. I know we compete to win no matter what the stakes are, and we lost today, and I give Iowa credit for that.
And then real quick, hey, hell, by now the audience knows, guess what? We're picking SEC to win these damn bowl games. We got two more, brother, here on Monday, and they're early. I don't know why they didn't put them on later. I guess because Monday Night Football. But we got number 22 Mississippi State versus Illinois in the Relia Quest Bowl. Never heard of it. Noon Eastern, 11 Central on ESPN2. And this bothers me too, Shane. They're all at the same damn time. Citrus Bowl, LSU, Purdue. It's an hour later, but still 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on ABC. So, man, we got an opportunity to win 3 more SEC bowl games. You throw in Georgia into the mix, of course. But, man, there's football on. Savor it. Mississippi State, it's going to be fascinating to see on the field without the Pirate. And ironically, they're down there in Tampa, which has a pirate ship in the stand. So I love to see that.
Yeah.
Citrus Bowl, again, Purdue, no coach. He got fired. Their quarterback, I think, has quit the team or whatever you want to call it. I mean, this should be a beatdown of epic proportions. But I'm ready to watch these games, even though everyone's kind of focused on the playoffs still. You know what?
I am too, and that's the thing you got to remember, guys. There's 3 games, 3 SEC games left, and then it's over. And so I'm definitely going to be. I hate, like you said, that it is at the same time, 12 and 1 o'clock, but that's why they got these fancy DVRs now. So I'm going to be definitely watching both of those, and we'll recap those after the game. But man, I think that Mississippi State's going to be fun. I think they're going to do it well for the Pirate, like you said, down there in Tampa, and get to see Brett again. So he'll be down there. He's already eating good, so that'll be fun. I wonder how his New Year's resolution's going. I'm one day in, and I kind of fell off the wagon already, Mike. I told Mike I'm going to start eating good and all this stuff, and man, I got home and all that good shit we had yesterday still here. I'm like an addict, I said, honey, you got to get rid of some of this stuff. There's too much paraphernalia laying around here.
Well, brother, I think that's a perfect place to end this one. Appreciate you as always. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. Happy New Year's. Enjoy the football that we got, because there just ain't much left of it. But we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Vols. What about it now, Dabo?